Hey guys, Brendan Productions here, and welcome to my 10th Java tutorial. Now this Java tutorial is actually not really going to be a tutorial on a certain concept, but actually pulling everything that we've learned together into an actual example application that we're going to be making. So what this application is going to be doing is it's going to take the user's input on 5 numbers, all hooked together. Let's just say their numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to actually split them up and output them in reverse order like this, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is actually a pretty simple application to be made. But what we're going to be using is our knowledge of constructors and setting up class and test classes in order to do this very easily. So let's go ahead and get started with the thought process, that is. Now, there's two ways you can actually do this. There is the conceptual way, in which you simply take the number and then split it into 5 different strings, essentially. Or you turn it into one string. And then you just say display the last character and a new line, the first or the second to last, the third to last, the fourth to last, and then finally the first character, like that. And that is conceptually the easiest way to do it. However, if you want to get mathematic, there's actually a way you can do it using modulus, which, if you don't remember, the modulus symbol, the percent sign, is actually dividing and then getting the remainder. So for example, if we took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mod 10, that would give us, divided by 10, a remainder of 5, which indeed is the last digit. And then if we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mod 100, that would be 45, which we would then have to divide by 10 to get 4. Well, actually, we'd have to divide by 10 and then round to get 4. And then we can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mod 1000, and that would equal 345, which we would divide by 100 and then round again to equal 3. Then we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mod 10,000. That's 10,000, and that would equal 2, 3, 4, 5, which we would then divide by 1,000, and then round to get 2. And then finally we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modulus 100,000, and that would equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 itself. We would then have to divide that by 10,000, and then round, and we get 1. So essentially, mathematically, we are doing a series of division to get the final numbers, and then we could just output those numbers in separate lines. So in this tutorial, I'll be going over both ways to do this method, and we'll actually be making this all in one tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we have is, actually this is going to be called a digit extractor. Now, the first thing we have is a class called digit extractor, and this is actually going to be our object that we are going to construct with. We're actually going to create a tester class in order to get the user's input later on in this tutorial, but for now we're just going to create a digit extractor object. So the first thing we need to do in any object is make a constructor. This can be done easily by pressing Control Space and then just hitting Enter. And we've actually got a constructor already built for us. So now what we need to do is actually specify some parameters that the user can send in. And the only parameter that we are going to get is the number sequence that they type in. So we're just going to get a parameter of an integer called number sequence. We're also going to go up here under the class and create a new integer called tNumber, which stands for total number, and we're going to give that a default value of 0. Well, that's good. And now as soon as they create the digit extractor, we're actually going to make the actual global variable equal to this variable that we sent in here, because the variables that are sent in via constructor cannot be used globally, so we simply pop this into a global variable. And that's all we need to do to actually get the program initiated. So now what we're going to do is actually Okay, yes, that's good. That's good. So first up, we're actually going to do the program we're working on here mathematically. So we're going to create a new method, which is going to be public void, and this is going to be return inverted order by math. And then we need to open up the curly brackets to indicate that this is indeed the body of the method, and then we can start coding. So the first thing we need to do is create 5 integers. Each one is going to hold the separate value here. And let's actually take this code, or this little notepad document, and just paste that right into comments there. Remember, comments are not read as code. They're simply there so the programmer knows what's going on. So what we need to do is we essentially need to create 5 integer values, each one to hold a single place of this 5-digit number that they're going to enter. And what we can actually do is we don't even have to do that. Actually, no. We will do that, and what I'm going to do is actually create a part 2 of this tutorial, which will go over the advanced features that we can add in later. So we need to create 5 integers, int integer 1, and we're going to set it equal to 0 for now, int integer 2, and we're going to set it equal to 0, because the user, let's say, is not allowed to enter anything with a character count of more than 5 characters. So we're only going to have 5 characters to deal with. Okay, so now we actually need to set these variables. We've created 5 integers with initial values of 0, and now we're going to say integer 1 equals, and we're actually going to make this equal the last integer in this string. So as we see here, integer 1 is going to be t number mod 10, which we're going to put in parentheses just like you would on a calculator in order to keep track of it. And that's it for this one. The next one is integer 2, and that is equal to t number, and we're going to divide by 100 on this one, and then get the remainder, which is a mod, and then we're going to take this whole thing and divide it by 10. And this will automatically create a double, which means a number with decimals. However, since it's being stored in an integer, it will automatically round to the floor, meaning it will simply cut off the decimals and take whatever value is before the decimals. So if the value was 4.5, the return would simply be 4. So now we're going to do integer 3 and follow our footsteps here, equals to t number, and we're just going to add another 0 on here, 1000, mod 1000, and then divide by 100. We're also going to do integer 4 equal to t number modulus, that's 10,000, and then we're going to divide that by 1,000. We're going to do integer 5 equal to t number modulus 100,000, and then we're going to divide that by 10,000. And this should give us the 5 numbers that we actually want. Now what we want to do with these numbers is we're simply going to display them in stacked form like this, which is very easy to do in Java. All we need to do is type in system.out.println, ln, and then we can type in, whoa, I don't know why I made those double parentheses. And then we can type in what we want to type. So what we want to type is integer 1 plus, and here is where we actually need to indicate the new line, which is backslash or forward slash. It's right above the enter key, and it looks like that. Yeah. And then we need to type n. And this actually indicates to Java that we are trying to type a new line. And then we are also going to add integer 2, and then a new line, integer 3. Don't forget that Java is case sensitive. New line, integer 4 plus new line plus integer 5. And there we go. So now we're going to output the 5 numbers separated by a new line. And right here it seems that we forgot to put a plus sign. Okay, so far this is looking good. This is just a code form of what we wrote out in Notepad here. So we're going to go ahead and delete this commented section. And now what we can do is we can actually create the conceptual part of this. Now, right here, this constructor actually takes an integer. And the way integers work is they're simply numbers. Now, in order to conceptually split this thing into 5 parts and then display it, we need to get input as a string. So what we need to actually do is create a new constructor, public digit extractor, and have this constructor take the number sequence as a string. And then we are going to make int s number for string number. We're going to make that a global variable. This is not int, this is supposed to be string. And then we are going to make s number equal number sequence. And now that we inputted a string, which essentially is just retrieving characters instead of individual numbers, it will do the same thing, except we're not going to be able to do math with this string here. So we cannot divide by anything or anything like that. So now what we need to do is actually create a new method that returns the inverted order using a conceptual way. So what we're going to do is public void return inverted order by string. We're going to open the curly brackets to declare that this is the body of the method. And then we are simply going to create 5 new strings just as we did before. String part 1 equal to nothing. String part 2 equal to nothing. String part 3 equal to nothing. String part 4 equal to nothing. String part 5 equal to nothing. Okay, so now that we've got our 5 parts down, we need to think of what we can do here. So the user will be inputting something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the first thing we need to do is get this last character and assign it to part 1, because that is what we're first going to want to be outputting. So we want to do part 1 equals s number dot, and then we can use a little code called char at, and this code actually gets the character at a certain index. Now the way indices, is the plural form of index, work is they actually count up every character and assign it with an index starting with 0. So the first character here would be character 0, character 1 would be 2, character 3 would be the 3 right here would have an index of 2, the 4 right here would have an index of 3, and the 5 right here would have an index of 4. So we just start counting these characters, but starting with 0. So in order to get part 1, we need to get the last character, which is actually going to be character 4. Now we need to do the same thing with the rest of these. Now, it's actually giving us an error. Can I convert from char to string? Let's see if we can easily fix this here. Oops. Well, I suppose that we can easily fix this by changing part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5 into char variables, which actually simply store individual characters. So we're splitting this string into individual characters, and by default we're just going to make them equal a. Oops. Which I've never actually worked with characters before, so this is new. What is it saying here? Cannot convert to from string to character. So what would be a character? Equal to a? We're just going to create them and not even assign them a value. So character part 1, character part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and then we're going to delete this equals stuff. And we won't even give them a default value because I don't know what it would be. So now we're going to say part2 equals snumber dot char at, and then we count over in our indices 0, 1, 2, 3. The next one would be 3. Part3 equals snumber dot char at. Next one will be 2. Part4 equals snumber dot char at. Next one down the list would be 1, and part5 equals snumber dot char at. Char at. And the last one would be 0 because this is actually the first number. And now what we need to do is actually display these characters in inverted order, which is very simple. All we need to do is, once again, call system.out.println, and then part1 plus new line plus part2 plus new line plus part3, oh my goodness, part3 plus new line plus part4 plus new line plus part5. And then we just finish off with a semicolon, and we've got our methods created. This one returns the inverted order by math. This one returns the inverted order by string. Now that we've got our digit extractor object created, we can actually create a digit extractor tester. So to do this, we're going to right click on default package and create a new class. This one is going to actually just be called digit extractor tester. And down here, we do want a public static void main since it needs to run. And as you can see here, it automatically generates the public static void main. So the first thing we need to do is actually get the user's input. And we can do this by using a scanner tool. So we're going to have to import java.util.scanner in order to use it. And then in our class, we're actually going to create a global scanner variable, which we can do by declaring the type scanner, and then the name input equal to new scanner. Tell it to use system.in. Now once again, as I said in my previous tutorials, if you are confused by this line, Java actually needs this line in order to read code or read user input. Simply put, there are a lot more technical details, like you're actually creating a new variable or a new instance of the scanner object and giving it a parameter of system.in, which pretty much means you're getting the input. However, if you do not want to understand these technical details, Java simply needs that line. Java also simply needs this line in order to read the code. But enough with my blabber jabber. Let's actually get started. So the first thing we're going to do is actually display a message. It's going to say, welcome to the digit extractor. I don't think that's spelled right. Oh well. Welcome to the digit extractor. Please enter 5 digits. And once it displays this message, the user can now enter 5 digits. So we're going to say we're going to actually create a string called input, and that's going to be equal to scanner.next. No, that's not scanner. My bad. Input.next line. Right? Right? Come on, Java. No. Oh, okay, that doesn't work because we have 2 inputs here. So we're going to create a new string called in equal to input dot next. Let's see if we can get something here. Dot. Whoa! I am just failing right now. In equal to input dot next line. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're getting oh yes, we forgot to make this scanner static, which we can do now. So now what we're doing is we're actually getting the string value of this input that the user types in. And once they type in a input, we can actually type in, or we can type in system.out.println mathematically, And this is when Java will actually output what we did in digit extractor. So what we need to do is actually create a new digit extractor object, which we can do with digit extractor, the name of the object, and then the actual variable name. We're going to call this DE_math equal to new digit extractor, and then it's going to take the parameter of an integer number sequence or a string number sequence. Well, when we solve mathematically, we actually want to give it an integer value. And we're actually getting the input as a string. So we need to actually turn that string into an integer value, which we can do with in.parse. Maybe we can just do cast it as an integer and then do in. However, it does not like us to do this. Oh yes, never mind. I was just joking. We can do this by typing an integer, which is what you would want to do when dealing with integers, dot parse int, which turns strings into an integer, and then we're just going to give it the in string. So pretty much we're creating a new digit extractor, which is the object we created right here, and we're naming it DE_math because we're doing it mathematically, telling it that it's a new digit extractor, and we're giving it the 5-digit number. We're turning our input, which we took as a string, into an integer so we can do mathematical equations with it. And now we actually just want to type dmath dot, and now we need to, return inverted order by math is what we called it. So that's good. And now what we need to do is actually type in system.out.println, and this is using strings, or conceptually, the conceptually method. And now we are simply creating a new digit extractor and calling this DE conceptual equals new digit extractor. And this time we can just send it the string by itself, which is just in, since it also takes strings and it knows what to do with it once we type in strings. And it looks like we forgot the C digit extractor. And now what we want to do is DE conceptual dot return inverted order by string, and then just type in the semicolon, and then we should be done. So now what we need to do is simply run the application, which we can do with this run button right up there. So we're going to press OK here. Then it should ask for our input. Welcome to digit extractor. Please enter 5 digits. I'm going to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then press the enter key. And then so mathematically it outputs 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is correct, and conceptually it exports 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just to prove to you that it works, I'm going to enter another 5 digits. Let's go 1, 3, 3, 7. Yeah, 8. No, let's do 6. And then if we press enter, mathematically 1, 3, 3, 7, 6, and 1, 3, 3, 7, 6. So that is how you take 5 digits and completely invert them and then output them. There are ways to do this with more than 5 digits using arrays. However, I am not going to do that tutorial now, and I'll probably work on that later. But yeah, that'll definitely be coming soon. So thanks for watching this tutorial. I hope you guys have had a good time watching, and now that the tutorial is done, I'm actually going to make a few announcements, which I never do at the end of videos. But first off, I've been learning a lot of Java, been doing really great with it, and that's why I'm teaching you guys. I'm hoping you guys are learning stuff from these Java tutorials. Secondly, on BP forums, I've kind of revived the Java section, and I'm posting interesting bits of code. Like, for example, I recently just posted this little bit of code which actually draws a bullseye on the screen. This exact bullseye, actually. But all you have to do is take this code, pop it into Eclipse, and then you can actually draw your own bullseye. And I've edited it away so you can change the amount of rings that the bullseye has. So yes, so if you guys could register on BP forums and kind of help each other out, and I'll help you guys out too with your programming needs. There's also a VB.net section for those of you more interested in VB.net. And I don't know why I'm checking my Twitter feed. Oh yeah, before I go, rest in peace, Steve Jobs. In my opinion, he was a inspiration, and he will truly be missed. But anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. See you guys. Peace.